Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, we're going to be talking about Social Security and Medicaid as I am joined by writer and podcaster Devon Wieters. Devon is in college. She is disabled with CP, and she has a podcast that we're going to be talking to her about. She is advocating for the SSI Restoration Act and the SSI Savings Act. So we're going to be talking to her about everything that she's up to and how those two acts would help disabled people. So Devon, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
So, as you said, my name's Devon. I'm 29. I have graduated from college from Christopher Newport University, go Captains, with a degree in communication. And I've really struggled to find a job out of college because of my disability and the way the Medicaid and Social Security is set up, which we'll talk about later. And so I just podcast and advocate for free, basically. And I love it. So I wish I was getting paid money to do this, but I love doing it. Yeah, I just do this for free. I wish I was making a little bit more money to do it, and I hope to be one day, but right now I'm doing this for free. And I'm a super fan of the show Survivor. And yeah, that's all you need to know. So pretty much all you need to know.
Well, let's talk about, your disability. You say when we were in the green room, you were talking about how it's harder to live with the stigma, or it's harder to live with the stigma of your disability versus living with the actual disability. So explain to listeners what that means.
So basically, it's very hard to emotionally, I guess, emotionally draining, we'll say, to explain to people that yes, I am cognitively normal, even though I'm in a wheelchair. Yes, I can talk. Yes, I can do all this just because I'm in a wheelchair. You don't need to make, crazy assumptions about me. And I think a lot of the stigma that, oh, people with disabilities don't want to work or can't work has contributed to the way a lot of that is just, it was written 40 years ago and it's outdated. But I think a lot of this, part of it is the stigma that people with disabilities can't contribute as much as able-bodied people. That contributes to the way the Social Security and Medicaid is set up. And let me just say off the top that I live in the best state in the union for Medicaid. So shout out Gwen Youngkin. And the people that work at Social Security are awesome. Most of them. It's just the rules for Social Security that aren't awesome. So,
Okay, well, let's talk about Medicaid waivers. Explain to listeners what Medicaid waivers are.
so Medicaid waivers are something that people with disabilities that qualify, base both. Anyway, never mind. People with disabilities that qualify. That's the easier way to explain. Can get, in addition to the Medicaid insurance that we all know about, that helps them pay for a personal caregiver that they hire and pay them through the state. Some of them help you get different equipment that Medicaid doesn't normally cover. Some offer behavioral supports. Different waivers offer different things depending on what waiver you're on, but basically they provide the essentials that people with disabilities need to live in their communities every day. So
Okay, well, you're very passionate about the SSI Restoration Act and the SSI Savings Act. So tell us what those two acts are, what they would do, and why you're so passionate about them.
So, SSI or Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid go by the same limits in the majority of cases, like in 99% of cases. So, basically, if you lose your Social Security, you also lose your Medicare and Medicaid. And right now, the asset limit for Social Security is $2,000 for singles and $3,000 for couples. So, not even double what it is for singles. And which inevitably means if you work at all, then you're liable to have your benefits cut, and you can't possibly work full time because then you'll inevitably make too much to qualify for the waiver, but not enough to pay for it out of pocket. So it leaves you in kind of a sticky situation. And so, what the SSI Restoration Act and the SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act would do, among other things, is raise the salary and asset limits to $10,000 for singles and $20,000 for couples. And the SSI Restoration Act would eliminate the marriage penalty, which is where they count the spouse's income against you, whether or not you're legally married, even if you just live together. So that's the basics.
When do you feel like these acts are going to be going through or going up to try to get passed?
Well, that's funny that you should ask because there's a guy named Raul. That's his first name. His first name is Raul. And sorry, I have a mild speech impediment, so I might not be pronouncing that all the way correctly. And I can't even pronounce his last name because it's just too hard. His Instagram is Stand with Raul if you want to look him up. Raul. And this guy, God bless him, is one of the main authors of this bill, and he keeps reintroducing it every year. And it goes through the first committee, I guess, or whatever it is, and nothing ever gets done with it. So that is why I am on here trying to change that.
Okay, well, you was telling me about Patrice. It's a movie on Hulu, and you said you feel like everybody should watch it. Explain to us why and what the movie's about. Kind of tease people with it, make them go
Yes.
watch it.
First of all, if you are looking for a laugh, if you like comedies, it's hilarious. So it's not going to be woe is me. I mean, there are some tough moments in there too, but it's mostly a comedy. So you will literally pee your pants laughing. And what it is it's a documentary, a comedy documentary about, it's all real, about a couple that wants to live together and get married, and they both have disabilities, but they can't because of the way the waivers are set up. So it's basically about their struggle to live a normal life, basically, and their fight to get these laws passed.
Okay, well, you're also a Survivor fan, so kind of tell us about that.
So I have had a sometimes unhealthy obsession with Survivor since I was about 8 years old. I just love that they do everything they can to make it a level playing field. They had a guy with on season 43 of the show. I'm actually friends with the winner of that season, which still sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, but um on season 43 of that show, they had an above the knee amputee and a guy with mild CP, and they just did amazing. So, it's always been inclusive of people with disabilities way before it was cool and it started being talked about. So that's why I love them. I love it so much.
Another thing that you love is a book that Vice President J.D. Vance wrote. So, kind of explain to us that book, what it's about and what What caught your attention so much about it?
Yes. Well, first of all, I try not to enforce my views on anybody, so you're welcome to disagree. But I personally think that JD Vance has the best sense of humor. Oh my gosh, I personally think he's hilarious. But what I love about the book is he makes the same exact argument that I'm making about welfare. Because he grew up with his grandmother down in Appalachia, and that, of course, that's the area of the country that's very poor a lot of the times. And he makes the argument in the book that I'm making here, um, that basically the people that really need the welfare are penalized the most because it leaves you with, if you make any money at all or try to go to work, especially full time, it leaves you with not making too much to qualify for the waiver, but not enough to pay for it out of pocket. So I really resonated with that part of it, obviously. And I really resonated with how hard he had to fight, like, the bureaucracy. And so that's why I tell everybody to read it.
Okay, well, tell us about your podcast.
So my podcast is called Real With It. And basically, anybody that I find fascinating, I have on. So we've had spiritual leaders, other people with disabilities, obviously, uh, business people, anybody with a fascinating story, especially those that have overcome obstacles. That's who I have on. So you can find it on all podcasting platforms and YouTube, or you can go to realwithit.com and find out more about it there. We release new episodes every other Monday. So um, if you would like to help us out and subscribe, you can go to realwithit.com/subscribe. So it'll be right there in your feed of podcast app of choice. And you never miss an episode. So if you want to find out more, go to realwithit.com. Or if you want to subscribe, go to realwithit.com/subscribe. And yeah, we'd love to have you listen.
All right, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
So, like I said, every other Monday we release a new episode of my podcast. So, and other than that, I'm just if you go to realwithit.com/reforms, you can learn more about our reforms advocacy and find out more about what needs to be changed. If you go to realwithit.com/Patrice, it will take you to the Patrice the movie website. And if you, once you're there, you can click on take action, and it will give you a form to fill out where you can write to your representatives, to say you support the SSI Restoration Act and the SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act. So I would encourage everybody to do that. And I know everybody's on the one bill train right now, but we need both of them passed, ideally, in case one gets overturned in a court or something. We still have another one. So I would like to ideally see both of them passed. So you can write to your representatives about that, and be sure to follow me on my podcast and social media at We're With It Pod. And I'm on Instagram Instagram at Devon Wieters, Facebook at Devon E. Wieters, and on my personal Twitter account, I post about politics. So if you don't like that stuff, don't follow me on Twitter, but you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and on all social media at We're With the Pod. So,
All right, that was my next question, the contact info. So close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
one, sorry if I was loud. I just realized how loud I was. But uh, two, definitely watch Patrice the movie. Again, go to realwithit.com and find out more about us. Subscribe to the podcast. Uh, find out more about the reforms. And yeah, just educate yourself on these reforms and help us out in any way that you can. So
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, help out. Go speak up and help Devon out with her passion. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Jump on your favorite podcast app, check out the show. Check out Devon's show as well. Make sure you follow, share both of them, leave them a review. If you have any feedback or guests or suggestion topics for this show, Curtis Jackson 1978 at att.net is the place to send them. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. This would not be possible without you. And Devon, thank you for all that you do and thank you for joining me.
you are so welcome. And your listeners can also email me at hello@wheelwithit.com if they want to get in touch with me.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.